Hey everyone, Mr. Fitzpatrick here with our next content lesson for this week. We are starting in with our content now. We're going to be focusing on our writing skills a little bit. So, without further ado, let's get started with some reminders and announcements. Okay, our first reminder is about Flipgrid. First of all, the posts are due on the day that they're assigned. You're meant to start the class off with a Flipgrid posting to that Flipgrid. Do not wait until the end of the day. Please don't wait until 10 o'clock at night. Also, the Flipgrid grades will not be entered or recorded until the end of the week. So don't expect a Flipgrid on Monday to be graded in the gradebook until end of the week. And also, when you record a Flipgrid, please make sure that your camera is on and that you are recording yourself. All right, this is a part of our Common Core standards for listening and speaking. If there is any reason why this is impossible, if there's something that I need to know before giving you an incomplete grade for these, then you'll need to let me know as soon as possible. Either you or your parents can email or call the school. Next thing, your Bitmoji and syllabus quiz. If you did not get a C or better, I'm going to have to ask you to retake that quiz, take another look at the syllabus, get the best grade you possibly can on it. Otherwise, anyone who did not get a C or better on that quiz will be given an additional assignment to make up those points. So you either retake something you've already taken that you have all the answers to, or you get an extra assignment. And lastly, if you have a question, if something's not working, if you're having difficulty, please email me. And if you're in one of our co-teach classes, you can email Mr. Stevenson as well. Email is always better. All right, reminders and announcements out of the way. Let's get to it. Argumentative writing and speaking, the art of getting what you want. So, what are we going to learn today? The traits of an argumentative essay, how to identify and create controversial claims, connecting the claim and the evidence with reasoning, and including appropriate evidence. How are you going to show that you learned all this stuff? Throughout this week and the next couple of weeks, you'll be completing work using no red ink on these skills. We'll have some worksheets and other smaller assignments and written response checkpoints for you to show your progress on these skills. And ultimately, at the end of this unit, you're going to write an argumentative essay that shows us that you have mastered these skills or that you've made proficient progress on these skills. Why do we need to learn about argumentative writing and speaking? If you want someone to hire you, if you need to sell something to somebody, if you need to get somebody to do something for you, then you're going to have to persuade them. You're going to have to give them an argument. You're going to have to explain to them why they should do that thing. If you have a well prepared argument, then you are much more likely to persuade them. It's also the basis of any scientific article or report that you would have to do for, oh, I don't know, your science class. So, what is argumentative writing? What do we mean by argumentative? Argument takes place when two or more people disagree on a topic to which there is no factual answer. If two people are arguing what the color of the sky is on a clear day, one says blue, one says pink, clearly one of them is wrong. This is not so much an argument as it is one person teaching another person common sense. The word argument might make you think of fighting, but it's not necessarily what we mean in this context. An argument is two people both trying to prove their viewpoint to each other. They're both trying to prove that they are right. For something to be a true argument, there cannot be any obvious evidence that proves one side is right and one side is wrong. Like in the example of the sky being blue or pink, one side is clearly right, the other is clearly wrong. We wouldn't call that a true argument. The whole point of argumentative writing is to prove that you are right. Sometimes the person that you're trying to convince might disagree with you, or they might not have an opinion about the topic at all. You might need to convince them not only to agree that you are right, but also to care whether or not they have an opinion about it. An argument can take place over a lot of different things. Is Nike better than Adidas? Yes or no? Who knows? Should schools have uniforms? One person can take one side of the argument, another person could realistically take another side. And which car should I buy? There are definitely a lot of different opinions. There's no two sides to that one. You could have multiple different people arguing multiple different viewpoints. So, how do we argue? Or rather, how do we do it the right way? For some of you, the answer is shouting loudly, screaming at each other, threatening violence. That's not the best way, right? That's not how we're going to argue in this class. No shouting involved, no need for violence. In order to make the best argument that you can, we're going to include three things. Pay close attention to these three things. They're very important. A clearly stated and controversial claim. We'll get to what the word controversial means in here in just a moment. Valid reasoning, explaining why they should believe you. And finally, accurate evidence that proves that your claim is correct. Let's talk about a claim. A claim is simply the position that you are taking on a topic. In an essay, you might think of this as your thesis statement. Your thesis statement is where you will introduce your claim to your audience. Your claim should follow certain rules. A claim should be clear. Don't be vague, right? Don't leave it too broad, or else your audience might not understand what exactly you're trying to say. It should be clear and specific. A claim should be controversial. This means that your claim is something that another person could realistically disagree with. If I try saying that the sky on a clear summer day is blue, well, that's not so much a controversial claim as it is an obvious fact. So that wouldn't be a good claim, because obviously there's no disagreeing with that. Lastly, a claim should be something that you believe. You don't want to try to convince someone of something that you yourself don't already believe. Right? Your claims are going to be much more valid and much stronger if you yourself believe in them. Right? Establishing your goal when it comes to your claim. This is why you want to be specific. You want to begin your essay or your speech with your goal, your claim. I'm trying to get them to believe blank. Remind them about your claim numerous times. Reasoning is the explanation you give for why they should believe you, why this topic should matter to them. It's a way that you get your audience to care about taking your side, or sometimes about taking any side at all, why they should care about the topic to begin with. And it works best when you understand your audience. The more you know about who you're trying to convince, the better chance you have of actually convincing them. So let's talk about your audience here for a second. There's a lot that you can know about your audience that will change the way you talk to them, how old they are, if they're more one gender or the other, what their social status is. This means if they are upper class, middle class, lower class, their occupation. If you're giving a speech or writing an essay for a bunch of teachers, that might change the examples that you use, and what their interests are. There's four basic types of an audience. The first one is supportive. This is the easiest type of audience to convince. This is one that already agrees with you, but they need the motivation to act. The next type is uncommitted. They care about taking a side, but they haven't chosen which side that is yet. I care about buying a car. I want to buy a car, but I haven't made up my mind what car I want to buy yet. The next type is indifferent. This type of audience doesn't care, about the topic and they don't have a position yet. Right? They need to be convinced to care about getting a new car, and they need to be convinced what car that is that they should buy. And the last type is the hardest. You'll notice these types of audiences go in order from easiest to hardest. The hardest group to convince is an audience that cares about the topic, but they already disagree with you. They are already on the opposite side of the argument from you, and now you need to convince them to let go of their viewpoint and take on yours. Evidence. This is where you prove that your claim and reasoning are correct. It's the most important part of your argument. You can make a solid claim, you can explain to your audience why they should care, but unless you give them a reason to believe you, then your claim is useless. There are a lot of different types of evidence that you can use. And we're going to be going over types of evidence in our next lesson. That's going to take a whole lesson all by itself. Let's take a look at an example. My claim is, you should put me on the soccer team. Okay? That's a controversial claim because someone could disagree that I shouldn't be on the soccer team. My reasoning is, I'm a good soccer player and can help you win games. This is valid reasoning because it addresses something that the audience cares about. Right? If I'm talking to the soccer coach, obviously the coach wants to win games. So now I have given them a reason to consider my claim. Now we need the evidence. I was the MVP on my last soccer team, and I made the all-star team in my league. This evidence is effective because it proves that putting me on the soccer team can help them win games. So this is a properly structured argument. I have a clear claim that I want my audience to believe, I give them a reason to care about it, and I prove to them that I'm right. Next example, I'm going to go over one more example before we close this out. You should sign up for a membership at our gym. Right? This is a controversial claim because someone could disagree that they should not sign up for the gym. My reasoning is our gym can get you into shape, improving your life. This is valid reasoning because it addresses something that the audience would care about, improving their life. Then to give the evidence, all of our members have shown weight loss and increased strength and mobility. This is effective evidence because it proves that their gym can do what they claim. They claim that they can get you in shape. Well, this is proof. They've done it before. They're most likely able to do it again. All right. Now that you've watched this video, we've gone through this lesson, go to the classwork tab in Google Classroom and find the Argumentative Writing and Speaking Quiz 1. Go ahead and take that quiz. It's worth 10 points. You only get one chance at this quiz. You can rewatch this video as many times as you need to. You can have it playing while you take the quiz even, but you only get one chance at the quiz. Also, don't forget about the Zoom meeting we will have. If you remember our schedule, our Zooms always take place 45 minutes after the start of class.